we can call this value as property of the class, or attribute of the class, anything we can call. This is a separate class which we have created, and inside that we have defined this variable value as 5. So now this is the main class, and inside that this main class we are defining another function, and in this function it is taking the wrapper object. So yeah, we are freshly creating a object of the wrapper class. So yeah, wrapper class, after the taking the object, we are incrementing this object's value. So yeah, by default, by defining the obj will have value of 5 by default. After creating the obj object, it will be having value 5 because we are defining this in the wrapper class itself. So when we increment this wrapper class, it should increment whenever this modify function is called. So so now this is the main function. We are creating a new object w of this wrapper class, and this modify function takes the wrapper object, as we can see wrapper object, and it will increment this wrapper object value by 10. So yeah, 5 plus 10, it will be 15. When we print this wrapper dot value, then it will be 15. So suppose now again if we modify it, then it will be 25. So this is the code walkthrough of this simple concept. Pass by references, value is changing, and here the value is value, here the variable name is value. The original variable itself is changing, no duplicates are made. Let me explain you with some another good example. So here I have opened the online compiler. Here I have created a book class. So for this book class, I have defined the property name, price, name and price. And for that book class, I have also created a function, or defined a function details, which prints the detail of the object. It simply prints the details like name and price, where the variable price, the variable names, it will print simply. We are not using constructor here, so that's why we are manually declaring. So yeah, inside main class, again there is main function. Inside this main function, we are creating this b1 book object, a new object we are creating. And we are not using constructor, so that's why we have to separately declare the name for b1. Okay, so when b1 is created, it will be having two properties, or two variables or two names associated with it. When the new b1, this line is executed, a b1 object is created, which is pointing towards the memory reference. So inside this memory, what all things are stored? One is the name of the b1, and another one is price of the b1 book. So yeah, this is string value, so it will be null initially because it is of the type integer. And here we are not defining it. If we by default define here b1 dot name is equal to some xyz, then yeah, it will by default, instead of null, it will be xyz. It is b1 is pointing towards some memory reference or memory address. We are defining the properties for b1. b1 dot name is equal to RD Sharma, and b1 dot price is equal to 34. If we print the b1 details, then that will simply print us RD Sharma and 34. Now we are creating another object b2, but this we are only creating a reference of it. We are not actually creating a new object. We haven't used the word. So yeah, if you see here, we haven't used new. We are just using this book b2. We are just referencing an object. We are not creating a new book here, new object of this b2 book. So it will just only act as memory reference. So yeah, now b2 is equal to b1. It will simply point towards this memory reference. b2 is equal to b1. No new object or no separate object is created, like how it was getting created here. A separate copy is not created. As soon as you do changes in this b2, So yeah, now I am doing changes in the b2 as well. If you do changes in this b2, again it is referencing to this memory address. So if you change the name here, automatically the name of this b1 object is also changed. If you run this code, then it will show. So in b1 dot details rd sharman 34 details, it is rd sharman 34, because we have did b2 is equal to b1 and we are updating this b2 is equal to hc verma b2 dot name. So again we are changing only b2, but it is also changing b1, because both are pointing towards the same memory address. Before, I want to see one thing. So yeah, just after declaring this b2, yeah, it is showing me error, because we are only referencing this b2 object. We haven't even initialized this b2 object. That's why this is showing this error. b2 dot name is equal to, again this is not initialized.
So I was recording the video of patterns 8, 9, 10, but yeah, again that audio issue I faced, so that's why I have to, re-record this 8th pattern, ninth pattern, and 10th pattern. So yeah, I will quickly now explain what are. So 7th pattern, what we were doing is we were printing this upper triangle, upper triangle with increasing stars. Now what we'll do is we'll print this inverted triangle with a decreasing number of stars. So what we have to do is here we were this number of stars was getting governed by this eye. So yeah, what we can do is we can simply just reverse the order of I from 0 to n we were printing. Now what we will do is we will print this from n to 0, because again this k is this k is playing the factor of printing the stars. So k is dependent on I. So just by changing the order we will get the solution. Mm. So we'll change this loop, and we will run this loop from 5 to 0, and we'll keep this k as same, and we'll keep this loop also same, and I think we will get this. So yeah, pattern 8. Now let us move to pattern 9. So for pattern 9 I have only one solution. Yeah, for pattern 10 I have two solutions. So pattern 9 is simple. Just it is combination of pattern 7 and pattern 8. So yeah, what we can do is use one for loop for this pattern. For we can combine both of this and bring it together to get the solution of pattern 9. So I did the same thing, one for loop for this, one for loop for this. This how I am getting this pattern 9, erect triangle and another for loop for inverted triangle. Okay, so this is the pattern 10. I think again this pattern 10 is nothing but, and this pattern 2 and pattern 5. So again I followed the same approach of doing that. In solution 1 what I did is I combined this for loop to print this triangle, and then I used this for loop to print this triangle. But I went to this their editorial, the Take You Forward, the Strivers editorial. I went to there, and then there I got even more good solution. So yeah, I used that. So the solution 1 is just combination of those two for loop. Solution 2, I'll explain this. So we will only use one for loop to print the stars, and this for loop will run from 0 to 2n minus 1 to n, or 1 to 2n. So how many lines we are going to print? 9 lines. 1 2 3 4 5 6. So the for loop, the outer for loop, which will help us to print the number of lines, that will run from 0 to 9, which is, or 1 to 2n, or 1 to 10. That doesn't matter, but yeah, I should run from 0 to 2n, or 0 to 2n minus 1, or 1 to n to n. Why I'm using one? Because at first row I want to print one star, I don't want to print zero star. So yeah, that error I was getting. Initially I ran this code from 0 to 2n minus 1. Because of that, first row was getting printed empty. Then after that, this one star was getting printed, and this last star was not getting printed, only this was getting printed. So you try it by yourself, you'll understand. Actually, nice intuition I built throughout this video, why that was getting printed. But yeah, again, some audio issue I faced. Let it be. So yeah, let me explain this code. So what I'll do is, I'll explain the core logic of this problem, of this solution. So at first row, one star should be printed, second row two, then third row three, fourth row four, fifth row five, then sixth row four, seventh row three. So yeah, J, what this will J will do is, this will help us to print the number of stars in that row. So initially one star. So yeah, this J will, what the upper limit we will use is max. We will use max as an upper limit. So this max will help us to govern this number of stars. So up to 5, this max will go. So initially I is 1, so max will be 1. I is 2, max will be 2. So in up to 5 it will be, max will be 5. Then if when I is greater than n, so n is 5. Initially we defined that n, so n is 5. So when 6 is greater than 5, then max is 2n minus 1. So what is 2n minus 1? 2n minus 1 is 10 minus 6, which is 4. Then 10 minus 7, which is 3. Then 10 minus 2, which is 10 minus 8, which is 2. So yeah, 4, 3, 2, 1. Number of stars will get printed. So I think this should be the right explanation. Please listen everything. So yeah, now let us move to this 11th pattern. So I have solution for this. I did these problems in my regular Python course in first semester. So yeah, let me explain this solution for this pattern quickly.